Hey everyone, this is Jason Greenman, and welcome back to Breakouts. We've been on a bit of a hiatus and taken a short break from Breakouts, so to speak, but we're back on track and we'll continue to release at least one episode per week, as always. As you know, here I speak to business leaders and event professionals about their personal expertise and their stories. And this week we continue my conversation with the wonderful social media expert Sabrina Meyers. In the next 15 minutes, we'll try to cover two main topics. One, what kind of content should you be publishing? And two, how often should you be posting content about the industry? If you're just getting into the social media game, or if you're looking to up your game a bit, this is a great listen for you. So without further ado, let's get back to our chat with the lovely Sabrina Meyers. So you've got your name, you've got everything set up, and this is where I think a lot of people freeze is the publishing side. So what type of content should people be sharing in the industry? How can we encourage people to start actually publishing?
I think it's very important that when you start a profile, so for example, let's use Instagram as an example, right? Mm-hmm. So you've set up your Instagram account, you have found your handle, you've set up the profile. I think it's very important that before you actually go live, that you should have at least 9 posts on your feed already planned that you're gonna post and have it ready, because it's just an appearance thing, you know, and it's something that you can do before you go into this online platform world, right? I see so many Instagram accounts where maybe the hotel's done like 3 posts, but they have been, they've had this account since 2013 or something, you know, and you're like, well, what's been happening? So I think it's important, first of all, to make sure that you don't have any gaps at the beginning. So don't just post like the one and then decide, okay, what am I going to do next week? What am I going to do the week after? Start with, 3 or 6 posts straight away, because they're in grids of 3. And at least it looks a little bit more than just the one square has been posted,
Agreed.
And then what I would do is content is very, it's subject to what it is that you are doing. So for example, if you're an event professional, you need to pick. I always say, if it's a personal thing, and you're building up your presence, which is what you want to show as an event professional, then pick 3 things that are important to you. So say personal branding is very important to you, okay, and then fitness is very important to you, okay, and then travel is very important to you. Great. So these are 3 sort of topics and themes, and then you can expand on them if you need to in order to create more content. So, if you then just stick to just posting and creating content around these 3 topics, these become what people then start associating you with.
Right.
So it'll be like, oh yeah, Sabrina, she's always posting stuff on personal branding. She's always posting stuff on travel. She's always posting stuff on this. Yeah. So, and you can make that topic as niche as you want. You can be someone that loves mugs. That could be one of your things. Yeah. So every week you post a different picture of a mug in addition to personal branding and, travel. It's your thing. It's what you want to kind of become or be associated with as you go in life, in your also social media life.
Yeah. And it's a great point too about content is, I think people oftentimes try to kind of just search the entire landscape to say, okay, what's interesting? What can I put out there that's interesting? And that's a really, really general place to start. Whereas if you can really focus on a niche, you'll be able to come up with much more specific content. Exactly. But it also differentiates you too from everything else too. Okay, this is Sabrina, who's known for doing this because her content's always surrounded kind of these kind of topics. Whereas if you're kind of throwing things all over the place, it's really difficult to kind of follow and understand who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, and also it kind of then impacts relevancy. It impacts consistency. And it just makes it look very erratic. And there are lots of Instagram accounts out there that are meant to be erratic, but that's their thing, that's what they do. But in our industry, I would say, if you're an event professional, pick your 3 and then only post content about those 3. If you're a hotel, then, don't just post, beautiful images of your hotel that can be part of your feed, but make your hotel come alive through the content, whether it's, I don't know, making little video clips with the team that works at the hotel. There's so many departments. A hotel is like a little world on its own, you can create so much content around your own team and your own people. Engaging with guests, promotions, all of that sort of stuff. There's so many areas that you can diversify your content and your feed if you're a hotel. Same as for destinations, that's even more, pick a territory, pick a favorite, dish or whatever the case is. And then for event agencies, for example, I have quite a few event agencies that, I work with that always ask me like, oh, what kind of content do you think we should be posting? And I don't know. And I'm always like, Instagram is a little bit of like your resume, if you will. It's like your online, a lot of people say that, their social media is like their digital storefront, right? And so for event agencies, that's kind of like their online resume. It's kind of like, what have I done? What am I good at? And what do I want to do? And how can I help you? These are all questions you can answer visually through your content on Instagram. So, you can give, pictures of, like Akomo does, you can give pictures of what you guys have done before. Throwback to this event we ran in Cannes, and this is what I loved about it, and then you can say, oh, are you planning to go somewhere next year? These are our tips for Amsterdam, and then this is what we're working on right now. Is this something that interests you? And you give a certain idea of how you would set up a distanced private dinner, for example, So, it's meant to be able for you to show your range of experience, expertise, and why someone might, be interested in working with you. And I think that's important for event agencies to really be able to showcase, on their online profiles.
And you mentioned hotels and destinations, and it's kind of odd to me that people freeze so much when coming up with content, because there's so many opportunities to like when you really put your mind to it, and you can brainstorm a page of ideas. I think what happens is a lot of people just assume that whatever they're going to post about is not interesting, and that's not really the case. I mean, we were talking earlier about the new protocols for live events as they start to come back online. And I mean, these destination hotels need to be
showing it.
Like even a video of the cleaning station where you're gonna put the gel on your hands and grab your mask. I mean, that may not seem very interesting, but actually it's super relevant. So I think people need to kind of drop this idea, well, what I'm gonna do is not very interesting. It has to be like magazine type content. It really doesn't. It just has to be something that's relevant.
I think with social media and, for example, platforms like Instagram starting to really thrive, or in the last few years creating influencers and whatnot, a lot of the mindset behind content on Instagram, for example, was very much dictated by, well, what can I post that will make it go viral? What can I post where I will get all these likes? Because that's what it's about. It's about getting the likes. It's about getting all of this, but that's the wrong way of thinking. And I think, that's the mindset that needs to change when it comes to content. I think you need to be creating content that's authentic, and you can only be authentic when it's your own content about you. Definitely. Because you can't copy anyone else. So you use your hotel, you use the people at your hotel, and you delve down on those two things. And you use the guests that come to your hotel, and you delve down, because that's the only things that are making you different from any other hotel. You make the comparison, why that is so, and then you break it down and you come up with your content. And that's how you create authentic content. And sometimes people can come up with some incredible things and some incredible campaigns, just solely based around their people and, their guests. And that's how hotels or suppliers in the industry need to be thinking. They need to be digging down deep inside of them and not trying to create viral content, but authentic, informative content for people that are going onto their platforms, you know, because Instagram's already started to do away with likes because they've seen it's quite a damaging metric.
Right.
Because people are producing content just for the sake of getting those
Just
likes.
to go viral. Yeah.
Whereas their whole idea is that they want social media to be a place of engagement, of community building, of information exchange, and of content that's valuable. And the only way, you know, that will happen is if all the creators start to do that, you know, so all the hotels, all the destinations, and all the event professionals and suppliers. That's the only way we're going to get there.
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm going to move on to the next question, which is also relevant to what we're talking about, because we have all the content. So you have your content calendar or your brainstorm page, or however you organize your content, which we can get into in a different episode, dig a little bit deeper. But just keep to the basics. How often do you recommend people posting once they have done these things? They have their profile, they have their handle, they kind of know what their niche is going to be. How often should they be posting on these networks?
I think definitely every week. Now, how often in that week, that really depends on every individual person and every individual business. So I think it's important to stay as visible as you can, but within your how do I say this? Within your possibility. So, you know, as much as you can do, because you don't want to give yourself a timeline that, okay, you know, I'm going for it on Instagram. I'm going to do a post every day, and then it's going to be Manic Monday, Travel Tuesday, Wicked Wednesday, Thursday Thought, and Friday, you know, Friday. I don't know. So these are the 5 hashtags that you've come up with. And you're going to consistently come up with content and post every single day, you know, with this content in mind. Now, if you have the time and the resources to do that, go ahead. You know, that's absolutely fine. And if it's working for you, then that's great too. Some people might find posting too often becomes quite spammy. And you're just like, okay, I can't have these guys like come up on my feed again. Like they're always online and always posting. So sometimes they lead to people switching it off, you know. And other times, you know, you don't hear from people enough, and you're like, well, I wonder what these guys are doing, you know? So I think it's about finding the sweet spot for you. I know for me, it's been always experimentation. I play around with it a lot. Social media is a lot of experimenting. It's playing around with different engagement, you know, methods. There's no right answer. There's no, the only wrong answer that there is that you don't post enough, like at all. Right.
Exactly.
So in terms of that, I think, you know, for me, I remember when I first started LinkedIn, I was going to post, you know, once a month. This is like years ago when LinkedIn started. And then I was like, oh, and then I started paying more attention to the platform, and I started posting once a week, you know, once every 2 weeks. You know, now, you know, obviously given the pandemic and that we're home a lot more and creating content, but I've realized it's, you know, I'm posting every day, but my content also has to be different every day. You know, Mondays and Fridays, you notice patterns in your audience, and a lot of how often you post can be dictated by when your audience is online and when your followers are online. Every single platform has their analytics that you can get. And you can see, okay, you know, what time should I be posting? And then you can just see, okay, so on Tuesdays, apparently my audience of followers is more active between the hours of 6 and 9. So if I post within those hours, then I will get the maximum engagement and eyes on the content. And so you can make your plan that way. And then you can see, even because what it does is it breaks it down per hour, but it also breaks it down per day. So you can say, oh, actually, my followers are not that active on Monday and Thursday, so I'll just post stuff on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So a lot of that is research. You know, you look into your analytics, see what is working, what you're, you know, when your audience is engaged, and then work around it. And then as you grow followers, which I guess we'll be talking about soon, your metrics will change, your analytics will change, because new people come with new data. So it's always important to stay on top of those analytics to see if there's been a shift. Are your audience now more available on Tuesday versus Thursday where they weren't before? And then you say, okay, then I'll switch it around. As of next month, we start posting on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So it's just important to continue. Don't stay with the status quo. You have to keep adapting to algorithm changes. You have to keep adapting to your own work changes. Now we're all posting a lot because we're home, once we all eventually get back to work, start running events, being, at work, it might be that our frequency goes down, and the important thing is to make sure that actually doesn't happen and that we manage that. So that we can still stay engaged and continuing, our presence online.
For sure. And I think another theme that fits in is really just whatever you decide to do, if that's 1 time a week or 3 times a week or every day, try to be consistent with it, right? I've seen great, people who provide really good content, but they're really inconsistent with it. And what I've found myself personally is I almost tend to see things online that may not be the best quality. It's still good quality, but it might not be the best quality, but it's definitely the most consistent because they're there every day. They show up every day. And I think just showing up makes a huge difference in terms of your exposure online. So it's kind of a delicate balance.
But I think also it's dictated by what account that is, so if you're a hotel, for example, you can post every day if you want, absolutely. But you shouldn't just be posting once a week.
Right. Yeah.
Because the assumption is that I'm sure there's different things that are happening at your hotel every single day.
Yeah. You would hope so.
It's not like, oh, we had 1 guest today. That's all we did, and so we're just going to post 1. So that's it, so you have enough stuff happening at your hotel to create content every single day if you needed to. Even if it's just going to the lobby and just sitting there for 20 minutes and seeing what's happening and then taking a picture and saying, well, this happened today in the lobby. That's it. That's content, and it's authentic, relevant content because you're a hotel and that's what happened.
That's what you do.
So it's easier than a lot of people think. And I think after a certain point, also what's very important to note is the only person, and this is for, I think, event professionals, or independent, like me, for example, is the only one holding you accountable to your timing and frequency is yourself. No one's like policing me on this, No one is like, oh my God, Sabrina, you didn't post tomorrow, like this travesty, like your failure. And I feel bad that I'm not posting every day, but that's just me inflicting that on me. No one else is doing that.
Right.
After 2 weeks, someone might say, Sabrina, I haven't heard from you for a while. Is everything okay? That's different. But I shouldn't be policing myself. So that's again another thing. Like if you want to take a break, take a break. If you think you're posting too much and it's too much for you, then find a schedule that works for you and work around that. Because it's more important to again, like you said, focus and create solid, good content, as opposed to just like, oh crap, I need to post something today. And then, just post it for the sake of posting it.
Thanks, guys. I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of this conversation with Sabrina. Please stay tuned for part 3, where we'll talk a bit about how to measure your success on social media. This has been Breakouts with me, Jason Greenman, your host. If you've enjoyed it, please do make sure to subscribe, hit follow, and if you have a minute, please leave a 5-star rating. Take care, and I'll see you next week.